What's up? How's it going? So I'm trying out this music thing, so let me know if the music's too loud. I can adjust it, but hopefully this gives a nice little background music while we go do some different things. Let's see here. So, welcome Ben, by the way. Thanks for joining. And let me know, if the music's too loud. Let's see here. Good. I'm glad that the music is great. I thought it would be a nice aesthetic for the compared to normal. Also, let me know if my microphone is working, if it sounds okay. But yeah, so there's a couple things I need to get done. I haven't been looking at for a while, and let's go ahead and minimize Discord. One of these is that on all of these components here, one of the the chat overlay doesn't seem to be working. That's true. That's weird. Let me look at that. Let's test. Well, let me make sure I have the correct link, because it was working last night. That's so crazy. When I was testing things out, but show my chat. And it's building bedrock layout. And we're going with my chat. Look at all these nice things. I haven't looked in a little bit. Retro swirly. And I love this, this is nice. Anyway, get my URL. Yeah, it's working in the browser. So it must be something with OBS here. Because let's check out the properties. Let's see. Because if we come here, show my chat, and I test, it's showing right here. That's crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Showing. I don't know why that wasn't working. I re-entered the URL just a few seconds ago, and now it's working. Crazy. Well, I don't know why, but it's working now. So let's just get back to it. No problem. But anyway, maybe the script didn't load. That makes sense. Just the fact that I re-entered it forced it to reload, probably. But anyway, we have on all these components, we have the examples, and then we have the drop down, and you can hide it if you want, but we have these drop down by default. Well, one of the other things is I recently added these examples. So we have the web.dev/patterns/layout that came out not too long ago. showing you different patterns, and I was like, I can redo all this in Bedrock. So I did. I thought it'd be a great way to show some examples. But it's not showing the same thing. Like, we're not getting these show high code things that we used to get. So that's one of the things I need to fix. Another thing I want to do is I want to add a feature to a component. So I thought maybe I'd start with that. And let's go ahead. And let me bump up this code, because I like my code a little small. But I have to remember to bump it up here for the stream. So let's pull that in. And let's make a new branch here. Let's call this the feature column drop stretch. Why not? Oh, I gotta put the oops, I never remembered. Stretch. I don't need to put quotes around the branch names. Does anyone else run into this problem? Let's control C. Let's try this again. Get CO feature column drop stretch. Okay. And just to make sure we're working with a fresh install, let's do a yarn. See, what I thought we'd do here is there's this ColumnDrop component, and right now the API is it has a getter and it has a basis. And you can see, depending on the basis, this will change, and so I could go 319 pixels, or I could change this to rems. That would be crazy, but anyway, yeah, you get the idea. The idea that I was having is like sometimes we don't want them to stretch, but we still need them to follow the basis here. So this is a good default, but there's also the same circumstance where you want it to let's just say 20 pixels, that you want them to wrap to the next row, but you don't want it to stretch and take out the whole row. You want it to just be centered. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice that you were chatting, so let's see here. Recently learned about prefixing your branch names with slashes. And while I really don't care about efforts to standardize branch names unless there's a clear utility, holy cow, do I love prefixing my branch names with things, something like docs or theme. Yeah, like, I'm the same way. Usually, like, I don't bother prefixing my branch names, except for, like, at work as a team, we prefix all of our branch names with the Jira card that we're working on, and then what specifically we're doing for it. The reason is that we have a little script that will automatically grab the things from GitLab and put our notes into the notes in Jira. So we get a benefit for doing it. But I'm not necessarily a big fan of holding it to a convention unless there's a big benefit you get from it. But that said, yeah, there's sometimes something nice about going through and looking through the branch names and seeing what you're working on. And yeah, 100%. I worked on one team that was like very adamant about like always like squashing every single committed on branch name, so whenever it merged back in, that you never do merges, you always have to do rebases. And like, I had never run into an issue where like being that strict with Git had ever come into an issue, because most of the times when we're fixing problems, we're fixing forward. Sometimes it's helpful to look back and see what it was, but more often than not, it's less time to just fix it forward and keep going on with it. So not that I'm against like good Git hygiene, but like not to the point where it holds you back from just getting features out or preventing a merge. Anyway, let's go, and this is nice and clean. So despite the fact that we're going to be talking about the column drop, I'm actually going to start by working on the CSS version of this. I thought that would be nice, because it may or may not know, I do have like CSS only versions of most of these components, including the column drop. And right now it has two properties that you can add. There's the gutter prop, and then there's the basis prop, and that works out. But I thought haven't quite decided on the name for this, but I'll show you what I'm looking at, and maybe you can help me with a good name, Ben, or anyone else who's in the chat. If anyone else is in the chat and they have a good name for what I'm going to be showing you, that would be great. But let's see here. There is, right, where is it? Bedrock Layout CSS. Okay. So in the column drop, let's minimize this so we can see it. So we have here the gutter, and then we're saying for every direct child of the column drop, we're setting the margin to 0, and we're automatically setting the growth and the grow, the shrink, and the basis here, and we're giving it a default of 159 pixels. What if, let's be a little bit more verbose here, and let's just do the basis, flex basis here. And we have flex, grow, and let's see here, flex shrink. So my idea is, what if we did something where I love it. That's a little bit of the, I don't want to do this, but that's the what's it called? The GitHub Copilot trying to help me out here. What I want to do is, if a property is given, so if we do approximately equals, if we give it some value like, I don't know what to name this, like no stretch or something like that, that we don't have it grow, we would also want to, up here, want to justify content and do center, which, let's add this into our let's see here, yarn start, into our storybook. And let's remember to go local host. This isn't going to work right now because it's still building. Let's see. What I really need is one of those nice new M1 Pros or an M1 Max or something like that. I'm just kidding. No, actually what would be really cool is... Hi T-Money, how's it going? Thanks for joining the chat. But yeah, what I think would be really cool is if Storybook in some future version like adopted like ES Build or Vite or something like that. Let's close a bunch of these apps. I don't need this. In fact, let's see here. So we come into our CSS only version, the ColumnDrop. Everything's working still perfectly with these changes. But let's come in here and let's add the ColumnDrop. And let's add the documentation for this. See, I'm not necessarily sold on no stretch, but I can't think of no stretch columns. Maybe that will work. What if we call it no stretch columns? That's kind of verbose, and I'm not totally against it, but I can make your properties really long. We'll play around with it. We'll see what that looks like. Let's keep it. This is going to be incorrect for a second. Let's just, yeah, I know. Let's do no. Is Display Flex supported in the IE browser? Yes, it is. And well, IE 11. So it depends on which version of IE you're trying to support, but IE 11 does support. And if you ever want to know what things can be supported, you can. This is a website I go to a lot, and you can just type in a feature like Flex. And you can see, yeah, the flexible box layout model. So display flex, all these things. And you can see IE11, yeah, it has a partial support. There are some bugs that they never fixed. But generally speaking, yes, it does. And then, but yeah, you can see Edge, Firefox, everything's been supported for a long time in all these browsers. So, but yeah, I love to come in here so you can look at things like aspect ratio and see that, yeah, it's now, aspect ratio is now 100% supported for 2 browser versions now of Safari and obviously the experimental. Anyway, this is a great website that I use a lot. It's just caniuse.com. 100% recommend it. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, so let's call this no stretch. We'll keep these, but we'll give this a no stretch. That's what I did before, and let's see what that looks like. No stretch. And I bet I need to put this up a rule. And let's see here. And very possible I might need to rebuild. Let's look. Where am I pulling this from? Yeah, I need to rebuild. I'd forgotten about that. Let's see here. Let's just do this the cheating way. I don't want to rebuild just for this one thing. I do think that this should be up here. This should be a property that has a higher... Oh, actually, no, I want this down here. Because, yeah, this should win out no matter what. And then let's come in here to lib, and we'll just cheat. Yeah, there we go. So this is what it would look like if we didn't have stretch columns. I think this is this would be a good option to have. And we still get the bases, so we get consistent columns. But they're not trying to fill up the entire row like these. So that covers a different type of use case. So the question is, no stretch. What do we think of that? There's no stretch columns. That's what Copilot was recommending. Not against it. It just becomes pretty like no stretch columns. If we come up and do that, and then we'd have to update this. That's my phone. No stretch columns. Where is it? So that works, and it's pretty explanatory what that is. Team, I'm not familiar with Flexbox properties that much. Still use float and display inline block in my projects. And those are great. That's fine. But yeah, the display flex is and display grid are things I definitely highly recommend looking into as soon as you can, because they give you so much more freedom. Because the frustrating thing about display float is that we're using it for something that it's not typically designed for. So display float is really designed for, let's come in here, MDN. Oh, let's go float. Yeah, it's really good to allow you to create something that pulls something out of the normal flow and let things flow around it one way or the other. And that's really what it was designed for. Now, technically, it keeps working because as you keep displaying float, you can keep throwing things to the left and right, but it doesn't really... now we're using it for something beyond what it's really designed for. And that's why display flex and display grid were added to the options. It allows us to actually just do proper layout. So yeah, 100% get it, and you got to do what you know how to do, and so yeah, do what you know how to do. But in the meantime, I highly recommend learning and seeing what display flex does and how it can help you out. By the way, everybody, I'm trying out this new like pretzel rocks, and it allows me to have some background music, and it automatically throws in what music is playing, which is probably a requirement. But what's you guys' thought? Is this is this too chatty in the chat, having all this come in? Well, just give me your opinion, feedback. I'm totally down for like not doing music while I stream if this is going to be too chatty. Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Ben. So let's come in here and pretty used to pretzel across streams. Was that? Who's pretty? Is that another streamer? Is that? But anyway, so I really like this. I want to add this feature. I think this is really good. This is the reason why I wanted to. Oh, you're pretty used to having pretzel across streams. Okay, sorry. I thought you were giving me the name of a streamer named Pretty. I'm trying to decide if being a little bit more verbose, saying like, oh, no stretched. See, this is even more. We'd have to come in here and put in no stretched columns. I know this, I don't know. You're kind of back and forth. I like how explicit and verbose something like that is, but I am like aware that like this has created one big giant prop field. But honestly, how much is a couple? Is that really that much different? Probably not. The thing that's taking most of the space here is my data bedrock column drop. Music volume could go down a tad bit. I could definitely do that. Let's hopefully that's a better option. Did introduce a query parameter for the showing chat recently. If you didn't want Pretzel Rock's messages to show up in the overlay, if you're interested, there's hi messages from Pretzel Rocks. Oh, I might do that. Like, it depends. If it gets like hard to keep up with the chat because it's throwing in something every so often, I'll consider doing it. I'll leave it in, test it out for a while, and if it gets annoying, that's good to know that we can do this. Hide messages from. And then I can do something like, if Michael Chan is in there, I can go hide messages from Chan. I'm just kidding. Now, let's go ahead and I think I've sold myself on this no stretch columns. What do you think, Ben? I like your opinions on naming things. You have a good eye for that, or a good ear, or both. I don't know. Works for me. Yeah, I think I've taught myself into it. Let's keep this no stretch columns. So there's that. Let's go ahead and this is one feature, and then we'll add that. So let's actually make sure it gets built. Because I was messing with the lib. So let's actually put that there. No stretch columns. Let's fix this story now, though. So we have, it says, automatically explains the number of columns based on the width. So let's say by default, let's see here. the ColumnDrop Component will stretch columns to fit the container. I don't want to add this. I really love, by the way, I say if there's any similar concepts you might want to find out if this creates any naming conventions that translate well to other utilities. That's a good question. Let's wonder if there's material like UI, if they have anything, or let's do this. Like, what does Bootstrap do? Why not? If they have some type of thing like that. Let's go to the docs. So they have their columns. Their columns always stretch to fill out. Well, one of the three columns. They have their conventions. They don't really have this concept of like, well, I guess they kind of do because all of theirs is based off their basis. But theirs is more about like, let's number their columns to fit their grid system. That's a good question. Like material, UI. Got it. Let's go look at their docs. Components. Let's see here. Do they have like layout? Yeah, they have this box container. Let's see what their grid does. Yeah. Theirs is based off this 12 column grid too. So there's a everybody's got to have their stack components. So this actually might be something more likely. Though they do differentiate, like when they're stacking their items, it looks like they're allowing the spaces to be kind of automatic. Whereas their grid forces it into one way or the other. I'm not seeing this. And then they're using like their grid system with spacing, wrong column spacing. Do you know what? This was fun. I think I'm going to stick with this because I already have, like in my inline, for example, this. We already have this convention of like stretching. Saying, hey, let's stretch the end or all of them. So this is a convention I've already kind of used the concept of stretch. So yeah, I've talked myself into it. Let's just keep the no stretched columns. So anyway, yeah. Let's see here. No stretch. We'll stretch fill the container. Let's see what this is. you want to prevent this behavior, you can set the no. I love this. We don't want to do that. No stretch columns property. Not to true. On the data bedrock column drop attribute. Let's see here. It just says no stretched. Oh yeah, let's stretched columns. There we go. We want to have. Yeah, I know. I changed the name on you. Okay. So no stretch columns. By default, ColumnDrop Component will stretch the columns to fit the container. If you want to prevent this behavior, you can set the no stretch columns property on the data bedrock column drop attribute. Perfect. So let's do that. That's a feature by itself. Oh yeah, there was a reason why I was doing that. So let's add C add feature. Yeah. No stretched columns. We'll just call it that for now. Because what it's going to do first is it's going to do a check before it actually does this commit. This is one thing I do want, and it can get annoying, but it does mean that all my checks always pass all my TypeScript and all these things, so I can feel confident that each commit is at least something worth merging into the main branch for. So it just means that every time I commit, I have to make sure all the tests pass, but I like forcing myself to do that. I think OBS is really slowing my computer down, though. Just check that out. It's gone to a complete crawl. Let me see if I can quit some of these other programs that are maybe slowing me down. Don't need. There we go. I was running all the tests. Oh, it's linting, and then it's going to run all the tests. But anyway, yeah, if you're just joining me, we're just working on. So far, we did the CSS only version. I want to do this one first because it's going to kind of inform how I do the React component. So, and plus, I just kind of I really also kind of want to just promote the CSS only version just to make it so there's a nice way for people to still use the Bedrock layout components, even if they're not using React or if they're or whatever, that they can still bring this in and use it in any situation. Let's see here. Normally, I don't have to wait for it to take this long. This is just so... Warning. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So now this is a new feature. So this is a tool that I use called Comitizen that allows me to it will automatically do conventional commits, which in my build process means it will also build out my change logs and release notes and things like that for me automatically. So in this case, we're doing a feature. What's the scope of this change? This is change. Oh, no, this is Bedrock layout CSS. This is the package. Short tense add no stretched columns option to column drop CSS. So a longer description is you can now prevent the columns from automatically filling its container by adding the no stretched columns property to the no stretch columns property to the data bedrock column drop attribute. There we go. No breaking changes. No open issues. I probably should have created an open issue. That's one of those things where when it's just me and I have the idea, I just go do it. But just to try to build a community, I should do better about adding open issues like that. And so there we go. We're almost done for the day, so this might be a good place to end. But next I'm going to come in here and do the same thing, but for the actual ColumnDrop component in React. And honestly, what I'm going to do is we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to add a property here. In fact, we could, stupid VS Code. Stop trying to help me. It would be no stretched columns, and it'll be a Boolean, and then we can come in here, no stretch columns, and then we can go const we're gonna make this have a default value of false. Let's say attribute value equals just put some let's see here, get the attribute value, and this is going to be no stretch columns. Then we're going to go no stretch columns. Otherwise, we'll have an empty string. And then we'll just save that here. And then we'll go off of that and just add it that way. Anyway, so we're right here at the end of time, so I won't do all that right now. But thanks everyone for joining me. Really appreciate you coming in, helping me out, give me some feedback, and then I'm planning on doing this consistently now. This is a good time for me. So I'll see you guys next week on Wednesday, and we'll do some more of this together. Anyway, thanks again. Thanks, Ben, for joining, and thanks, T-Money, for asking questions. And hope you guys have a great day.